Alright kids, so today I'm going to be introducing you to the 5 elements of art and kind of walking you through some short, quick examples of each element and explaining like how they affect your artwork and the differences that they make. So the elements of art are pretty much the 5 things that every artist uses to create their picture or their artwork or their design. And pretty much in any piece of artwork you will find these 5 elements somewhere hidden within. So first I need everyone to come get a sheet of paper, and then you are going to split your paper into 5 boxes. So kind of just make it look like that, and you're going to have kind of a bigger box at the bottom. That's okay. So it'll look something like that. Really uneven lines, doesn't matter. So first I want you all to label your top box as line. So a line is simply a short, long, thick, or thin point in motion. So like pretty much everything that around us is just made up of lines. It can be curved, it can be swirly, it can be Minnie Mouse thickness. It's just something continuous and in motion. So I want everyone to go ahead and draw an example of a line or two in their first box. So for me, I drew both a curvy one and a straight one, just so that I remember that both curvy and straight lines are all lines. Alright, so and then I want you to move to your second box and go ahead and label that shape. So in shape, we often see 2 kinds of shape. You have your geometric shape, which is like it can be measured mathematically. So think like triangles, circles, squares. They're often man-made because nature doesn't really come in these straight lines that can be measured perfectly mathematically. And then you have your organic shape, which is more of like free curving. It's they're often found in nature. So like think of like the shape of a butterfly's wings. That's an organic shape, or like the shape of a leaf. So like they're not perfect and they're not identical and they can't be measured with math. So at the top of your paper, I want you to draw an example of geometric shape. So, like I drew a square, and that can be measured mathematically. And then I want you below that to draw a picture of an organic shape. So, like I drew half of a butterfly or a butterfly's wing, and that's my organic shape. And like I said, it's just more curvy and free-flowing, and it doesn't have like the perfect mathematical dimensions. And then I want you to label your third box space. And again, with space, when it comes to art, we often talk about 2 different kinds of space. We have 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional. So like our 2-dimensional is like what looks flat on the paper. And 3-dimensional is something that has like this water bottle is 3-dimensional because it has depth. So like 2-dimensional shapes can only be measured in height and width, and 3-dimensional can be measured in height, width, and depth. So like I can see that this has multiple sides and it has something to it. So in our shape box, or in our space box, I want us to first draw a 2-dimensional one. So like I said, this is, my example here is also just like a flat square that's clearly flat against the page. And then I want you all to try your best to give off this idea of a 3-dimensional shape. This is done using diagonal lines and stuff. So like I kind of drew a little bit of a cube shape that you can tell it just has more dimension to it, and it kind of almost comes off the paper at you. And then I want you to label your fourth box texture. So texture, it's like the way something feels, or the way that something looks like it would feel. So this can be made artificially, or it can be true. Like I know that my shirt here is going to feel soft because I can like look at it and see that's a soft fabric. Like my hair is going to be soft. So things like that. So to create texture on our example here though, we are going to use the water bottles that are on your desk, empty water bottles. And what I want you to do is I want you to lay your fourth box over top of the water bottle like that. And I want you to take the side of your crayon and lightly trace over top of it. And you're kind of going to get this texture coming through from the water bottle because of the lines in it, and that's just kind of going to be like our example texture. Another good example is like, it's called cross hatching. So like I would draw lines going like up and down, and then across those lines I would draw them going vertical. And this creates kind of like a burlap looking texture, or like plaid looking texture. So like that example is down here. So yeah, that's texture. And then for our fifth box, which we kind of made bigger on purpose, we're going to call color. So in color, there's going to be a couple examples. So the first thing we have to know with color is hue, which is like just the name to differentiate between one another. So like we know that like red, orange, and orange aren't going to look the same because of the name that it is given. We know that there's going to be a darker red tint to one, but we're not going to really draw an example of that because that's kind of hard. But something we are going to draw an example of is intensity. So like when I think of intensity, I think of like how dark the color is, or like how much the color is. So what I want you to do is I want you to start at the top very, very lightly with your crown. And then I want you to start pushing harder as you go downwards. And then below that, I'm going to write intensity. But you see how it's like lighter towards the top and then darker towards the bottom. So you'd say that the bottom of that squiggle, or where you're pushing harder, has more intensity than the top of that squiggle. Another thing with color is value, and this talks about how light and dark it is. So like we could also say at the top of this as less value, but like think back to when we did the cat painting, when we added the white to it, that gave us a lighter value of the color. And then, so also, things to review with color would be like your primary colors. So we have red, blue, yellow, obviously. The warm and cool colors, like what we saw in our first artwork, the drawing of the snow in the summer. But yes, these are the 5 elements, or the main factors of art. And like I said, in like any drawing, you will be able to find them.